I was one of those people that people would interact with me and look at me and think that I had it all together, that everything was perfect, and that I was so happy. But if they really knew what my life was like, they would know that my life was everything but. When I was about 5 months old, my dad murdered my mom. My mom was in the process of divorcing my dad, and they were separated at the time. She had a restraining order against them. They were 22 and 23 years old, and my dad was just really abusive and not good to her. And my mom at the time had recently recommitted her life to Christ and was really just trying to pursue him. And so one of the steps she was taking in making better choices was leaving my dad. And so my dad, very much, again, being abusive and was controlling and wanted to control her, one day he just decided to take her life. I thought that if I shared the things that I thought, the things that I felt, or the things that I'd been through, that it would turn people off of me. I thought that if people knew about my life and what I was going through, that somehow I would be too much for them and they wouldn't want to be around me or get to know me. My grandma, being a believer, was the best thing and a blessing by God that we all, one, ended up together because we had different dads. And then also, too, was raised by someone who was a believer. So she raised us with a much better mindset than what we could have had if we would have been separated or raised by someone not a believer. But growing up, that was really hard, even though I knew God was there and God loved me, just because there was so much trauma and pain around me. Growing up in my home, my brother had schizoaffective disorder, which is basically schizophrenia, but he also would go through ups and downs of mania and depression. I just thought that if I'd stayed out of the way, if I didn't get in trouble, and if I somehow got enough skills and education to make a lot of money, that somehow that would be the thing that would make things better. I had just gotten out of a almost 6-year relationship that I knew was not a relationship I was supposed to be in. At the time, I had a 3-year-old daughter. And even though I knew ending that relationship was the best choice for me and nothing about it I missed, I was still just struggling with the fact that I was still hurting from it. And so one day I was actually at work talking to one of my bosses about it. And when I was talking to him, his response to me was, "Bri, if you were to die right now, do you know where you'd go?" And so in that moment was kind of, I guess, my first realization, even though I grew up hearing the gospel, of me realizing, one, not only did I know where I was going to go if I died and it wasn't heaven, but that all the things that I thought mattered and all the things that I was prioritizing in my life was not the priority, and that heaven was my priority and it's where I wanted to go. When I received Christ, I received a peace and a joy that I hadn't experienced before. Even though I knew that heaven existed, I always thought that I was never going to enjoy peace or enjoy joy until I got to heaven. One of the things that God has been showing me is how He is my Redeemer. I feel like if I look at my family tree, there's a lot of history of just pain and trauma and unhealed things passed down from generation to generation. And instead of having, I don't know, maybe the motivation or having the tools they need to redeem those things or even putting their faith in God, it's just been a lot of continual things passed down to their children that aren't good, that turn around, that their children pass down to their children that aren't good. And I feel like one thing for me that I've really been desiring, I think through trying to control my life, is just wanting to make things good and wanting to make things better and wanting to have a more positive reflection of my family tree. And so I feel like God's really done that in ways that I didn't even notice at first until I gave my life to Him. And my mom became a believer at a young age, and even at the time that she died, she had recommitted to Christ and was really trying to pursue Him. So I can confidently say that my mom is in heaven waiting for me. And even through my mom becoming saved as a child, my mom is the reason that my grandma ended up becoming saved. I am making a difference. And even if I don't see these changes with my own 2 eyes, that even if my daughter gets to see them, or the next generation, that my choices today are worth every bit of it.